My 9-year-old son is quiet.
He likes to read, paint, and help me cook. He's kind to animals, sensitive, gentle. But my dad? He hates it. It started small. One weekend, my dad replaced my son's sketch pad with a football and said, "Go outside, toughen up." I thought it was harmless, until my son came home from their next visit, crying. My dad had taken him to a boxing gym, without asking me. When my son refused to hit anyone, my dad yelled at him, in front of everyone. "You're too soft. Stop acting like a girl." I was furious. That night, my son quietly asked, "Is something wrong with me?" No, nothing is wrong with him. What's wrong is forcing boys to believe being gentle is weak. I told my dad, if you can't accept who he is, you don't get to be around him. My son hasn't stopped drawing since.
In high school, I had a teacher, Mr. Reynolds, who hated when students challenged him, especially me. I was obsessed with tech, loved AI, automation, startups, all of it. One day in class, I said AI would revolutionize education. He actually laughed. "You think machines are going to do my job? Kid, you won't even pass this class. Get your head straight." From that day on, he made me his favorite punching bag. Every time I brought up tech, he shut me down. Try paying attention instead of pitching your little robot fantasies. I barely passed. It crushed me. I even stopped talking about tech for a while. Fast forward 6 years. I co-founded an AI company that now licenses a learning tool to over 200 schools. Guess which school signed on last month? Yep, my old high school. And guess which teacher showed up to our onboarding webinar, confused as hell and fumbling through setup? Mr. Reynolds. He didn't recognize me, until the very end when I turned my camera on. I smiled and said, "Still think machines can't teach, Mr. Reynolds?" He stared at the screen, then quietly left the meeting.
My fiance and I have been planning a small wedding, 50 people max. My brother and his wife struggled with infertility for years. They finally had a baby after IVF. I was genuinely happy for them. We all were. But ever since the baby came, it's been the only thing they talk about. Every family event turns into a slideshow. Every convo gets hijacked. At my engagement dinner, his wife interrupted my toast to show everyone a video of the baby laughing. I let it go. But for our wedding, we asked for a child-free event. My brother insisted they couldn't leave the baby, called her their miracle, and said she shouldn't be treated like other kids. I said no exceptions. He accused me of being jealous that they had something special and said, "Your wedding will never be as important as what we went through." So I removed him from the guest list. Now half my family is furious, saying I'm bitter and punishing them for finally being happy. But it's my wedding. Am I the a-hole?
This happened 2 years ago. My grandmother is 82, sweet as pie, but sharp as a damn scalpel. She was one of the first women in our state to become a corporate lawyer in the 70s and actually helped draft consumer protection laws decades ago. Enter this scumbag contractor. She'd hired him to fix her roof after a storm. He quoted her $6,000. She paid half up front. Then, poof, vanished. Wouldn't answer calls, texts, nothing. I visit her weekly, and when she told me, I got mad. I offered to help track the guy down or go to small claims court. She just smiled and said, "Oh, I'm handling it." What I didn't know was she had already sent him a certified letter, citing the exact statutes he was violating, using legal language so precise it probably gave the guy a migraine. 2 weeks later, I get to her house, and she's laughing over tea. Apparently, the contractor not only returned the $3,000, he also included a $2,000 goodwill payment and an apology letter signed by his lawyer. Turns out, Grandma CC'd her letter to the state attorney general's office, the licensing board, and a consumer affairs reporter she used to mentor. She told me, "People forget old ladies like me used to write the rules they're breaking. Scammer picked the wrong grandma."
Am I the a-hole for anonymously reporting my coworker's side hustle? I, 26 female, work at a mid-sized marketing agency. One of my coworkers, Jess, 29-year-old female, started a side hustle doing resume help and personal branding. Honestly, it made sense. She's great at that stuff, and our job kind of feeds right into it. It wasn't against company policy, as far as I know, and to be fair, she helped a few of us with advice, including me when I was job hunting last year. I genuinely respected her hustle. But over the past couple months, I noticed she was on non-work calls a lot, hours at a time. Client work got delayed, and a couple times I had to step in and finish projects that she hadn't wrapped up. I didn't say anything then, but it definitely added stress. Then I accidentally saw a folder in our shared drive labeled with her side gig name. I opened it, and there were pitch decks, brand guides, even what looked like snippets of client data from our actual job. That's when I got uncomfortable. It wasn't like she was stealing exactly, but it felt like she was using company tools and maybe even company work to prop up her own business. I thought about confronting her directly, but I worried it would make things messy, so I submitted an anonymous report to HR. A week later, she was just gone. No goodbye, no explanation. People figured someone must have reported her. Ever since, I felt a shift. Coworkers are a little colder. Even my manager avoids eye contact sometimes. But I didn't lie. I didn't embellish anything. I just reported what I saw. Still, she was kind to me. She helped me. She was ambitious. Maybe too much so. But is that really a crime? Now I can't stop wondering, did I do the right thing?
I, 25, male, work in emergency dispatch. High stress, understaffed, and very rigid with schedules. My coworker Sam, 28, female, asked me to cover her weekend shift because her dad had just passed away. It was sudden, tragic, and honestly, I felt horrible. But here's the catch. She never once covered for me in the past. In fact, she refused to trade shifts last month when I had a family emergency and called me irresponsible. Our manager had to step in. So when she asked this time, I said, "Sorry, I can't." I didn't lie. I made plans weeks ago and I wasn't about to cancel them for someone who'd never shown me the same grace. She was stunned, said I was being cold and that I don't understand grief. Our mutuals are divided. Some say I had every right, others think I kicked her while she was down. But here's what really messes with me. I do feel bad. Her dad died. Still, I didn't owe her kindness she never showed me. Am I the a-hole?
He stole my app idea, so I let him launch it. I've been working on an app, a clean, easy budgeting tool for freelancers like me. I mocked up the UI, wireframed the core features, even pitched it casually during lunch at work, just to get feedback. Ray, my coworker, seemed unusually interested. He kept asking questions. How would you monetize it? What stack are you using? I thought he was just curious. A month later, Ray quit. 2 months after that, he launched my app. Same name, same features, even the same color scheme. Only difference? He slapped his name on it and started marketing it hard. I was furious. But instead of confronting him, I smiled and got to work. See, I'd never told him one detail. I had reserved the .com domain early on, before I even pitched the idea. He launched on a .net, so I built my version of the app with a better UI, a smarter feature set, and a generous free tier, and uploaded it to his original .com domain. I ran a small ad campaign targeting his users with, "Think you downloaded the wrong app? You probably did. Try the official version." Within a week, his download numbers tanked. Users flooded my version, assuming it was his updated release. His investors pulled out. His Twitter, dead silent. His last DM to me, "This was my idea." I just replied, "Exactly."
I found out. My dad wasn't dead. He was just done with me. And when I was 11, my dad died in a fire. Or at least that's what my mom told me. She said it happened at a warehouse where he worked. Some kind of electrical fault. I remember the funeral clearly. It was closed casket, and everyone around me was crying. Except for my mom. She just stood there, completely still. I assumed she was in shock. I mean, I was a kid. Why would I question anything? Life after that got harder. My mom worked the night shifts at a hospital. I spent a lot of time alone. Started getting into fights at school. Barely passed classes. We weren't close, but I never blamed her. I figured grief hit her in a different way. I told myself she was doing her best. Fast forward to last year. I'm 26 now, working in IT, keeping a low profile. One night, I'm scrolling through Facebook and get one of those friend suggestions like, and I freeze. It was my dad, his name, his face. He looked older, sure, but it was him. No doubt in my mind. He had a new family now, a wife, 2 daughters, living in Florida. Their feed was full of beach trips and birthday parties. At first, I thought it had to be a mistake. Maybe a cousin? Someone with the same name? But the more I looked, the more obvious it became. The photos went back years. His birth date matched. Even the town he listed was where we used to live. It was him. He hadn't died. He had just left. I didn't say anything to anyone right away. I couldn't even process it. I stared at his profile every night for a week before I finally worked up the courage to message him. I kept it simple. "Hey, I think you might be my dad." He read it. Never responded. That was 9 months ago. Since then, he blocked me. Took down some old posts, changed his profile picture. Eventually, I confronted my mom. She didn't act surprised, not even a little bit. She looked at me and said, "You deserved better than what he was willing to give. I gave you closure. I protected you." Then she added, almost casually, "He didn't want to be your dad." I couldn't say a word. Not because I was angry, not even because I was sad. I just felt numb, like the foundation under everything I believed had quietly collapsed. It turns out the funeral was fake. She pulled it off with help from someone at her church. The obituary was fabricated. They'd agreed to it, both of them. He didn't want to pay child support, didn't want the legal battles, didn't want to be tied to us anymore. So they struck a deal. She'd tell me he died, and he'd disappear.
My mother chose silence. He chose to walk away. And I was left with a grave that never had a body in it. People keep saying it's better that I know the truth now, but honestly, I don't know what's worse, thinking that he died loving me or knowing he lived without a single thought for me. Anyway, I haven't told anyone else in my life. Just needed to say it somewhere. Somewhere real. He's not dead. He was just done with me. Update. 3 weeks later. I didn't expect this to blow up the way it did. I didn't even plan to post an update, but something happened that feels worth sharing. A few days after I posted, I got an email, not from my dad, but from his wife. She said she saw my message before he blocked me, and that she'd been meaning to reach out. She wanted to clarify that he had told her about me when they first met. Said he had a kid, but it was complicated. According to her, he made it sound like my mom had cut him out and refused to let him be involved. That doesn't line up with what my mom told me, but at this point, I don't trust either of them. Then came the kicker. She asked if I wanted to talk to my sisters sometime, meaning her 2 daughters. She said they knew about me now. She made it sound sweet, like I was some long-lost big brother in a movie. But I'm not a big brother. I'm the child he left behind. I told her I appreciated the message, but I wasn't ready, and I probably never will be. She didn't reply after that. I haven't heard anything since. I showed the email to my mom. She just said, "See? He's still trying to escape responsibility." I don't know if she's right. I don't know if she ever was. At this point, I feel like a side character in my own life. Everyone else seems to have the script but me. But I'm going back to therapy. That's one thing I can control. Thanks for reading. Seriously.
My mom faked being sick for 9 years. I found out at her funeral. For most of my teenage and adult life, I believed my mom was dying. It was especially scary since it had always been just the 2 of us. It started when I was 14. She sat me down and told me she had late-stage multiple sclerosis, said it was progressive, incurable, and she likely only had a few years left. She cried. I cried harder. From that day on, everything in her lives shifted. She stopped working. Said she couldn't manage the stress anymore. I picked up the slack. Did the cooking, cleaned the house, helped her dress on her bad days. There were a lot of bad days. She wouldn't let me come to her doctor appointments, though. Always said they were too emotional for her. I don't want you to see me like that. She showed me pamphlets, some medical bills, test results. It all looked legit. I gave up everything to take care of her. I skipped university to work full-time. I turned down scholarships, stopped seeing friends. She needed me. Over the years, I watched her deteriorate. Some months she'd use a cane, then she'd switch to a walker. Some days, she said her hands were too weak to feed herself. Other days, she was fine, walking to the mailbox and back. She always said MS was unpredictable, and I believed her. Then came the GoFundMe. She said insurance wouldn't cover a new experimental treatment, so I helped her set one up, and people donated generously. Friends, church people, old coworkers, even strangers. We raised over $38,000. She told me it was going toward meds and travel to a clinic in Arizona. The money eventually disappeared. In her final year, she started talking about how proud she was of me, how grateful she was, how sorry she was that I'd had to grow up too fast. She said she wanted to make things right in her will. She passed away 2 months later, peacefully, in her sleep. I was the one who found her. The autopsy listed it as cardiac arrest, likely tied to long-term complications from untreated hypertension. Nothing related to MS. Apparently, she'd refused regular medical checkups for years, said they stressed her out. This was extremely confusing to me. Then came the truth. While handling her affairs, I found a locked box in her closet. Inside were stacks of bank statements. Not just her account, but 2 others, ones I'd never seen. There were wire transfers, spends at luxury stores, Airbnb stays, even a Bahamas trip, booked 2 years ago. There were no medical payments, no treatment bills, no doctor's letters. I started digging, contacted the clinic she supposedly went to in Arizona. They had no record of her ever being a patient. Looked up the neurologist she claimed she was seeing. He existed, but had never treated her. She made it all up. I broke, fully, completely broke. I mourned like I'd lost a part of myself. My life had revolved around her. I'd given up so much because I thought I was racing against time. I can't explain the feeling. It wasn't just betrayal. It was like my entire reality for the last 9 years had been rewritten. I confronted one of her old friends, someone from church who used to visit us. She admitted that once, just once, she questioned my mom's illness. And my mom cut her out of her life completely, ghosted her. That's what she did. Anyone who doubted her, she removed. I was the only one who stayed close, the only one who believed her completely. To this day, I don't know why she did it. Was it money, control? Was she just lonely, mentally unwell? The will she promised me never existed. Everything went to debt collectors. And me, I'm 23 now. I don't have a degree, no savings, a decade of my life spent inside a lie. People say she loved me, that she must have had her reasons, but love doesn't look like that. Love doesn't lie for 9 years just to keep someone by your side. She died peacefully, but I live every day trying to figure out who I was to her and who I am without her.
Am I the a-hole for not paying for my dad's surgery after he gave my college fund to my brother? Growing up, my dad always said he was putting money aside for my future. Every birthday, every time I got good grades or hit a milestone, instead of giving me something material, he'd say, "It's all going into your college fund." He made it sound like a promise, like an investment in who I was going to become. I believed him. My mom did too. I worked hard all through high school. I stayed out of trouble. I got good grades, joined clubs, volunteered. I wasn't perfect, but I was trying to make all of it mean something, trying to live up to the idea that someone believed in me enough to save for my future. When I got accepted to my dream university, I felt like everything was finally lining up. Tuition was expensive, but I wasn't too worried. My dad had spent years telling me that when the time came, I'd be taken care of. Then, a week before the deposit deadline, he sat me down at the kitchen table. He looked tired, guilty maybe, but not remorseful. That's when he told me the college fund was gone. Not lost, not invested badly, not stolen. He gave it away to my older brother. I was stunned. I couldn't speak for a few seconds. I thought maybe I misheard. He told me that 3 years earlier, my brother had come to him in a really dark place. He was struggling with addiction, had racked up serious gambling debt, lost his job, and was apparently on the verge of homelessness. Dad said he didn't know what else to do, so he gave him the entire college fund, everything he had saved for me, to help him stay afloat. I asked why he didn't at least talk to me about it. Why didn't he tell me before I applied to colleges, or when I was dreaming about dorm life and planning campus visits? His answer? I had to choose the kid who wouldn't survive without it. You're strong. You'll be fine. I didn't know what to respond to that. I just stood up and left the room. I don't even remember what he said after that. I ended up taking a gap year. I worked 2 jobs, applied for scholarships, took out loans. I got into a state school. Not the one I dreamed of, not the one I worked for, but I made it. It's been a struggle, but I survived. Just like he said I would. That was 5 years ago. A few weeks ago, my mom called to tell me my dad's in the hospital. He needs heart surgery. It's serious and urgent, and they can't afford it. My brother, the one he gave everything to, is apparently living somewhere in Mexico now, finding himself, and hasn't spoken to anyone in over a year. She asked if I could help pay for the surgery. She didn't beg, but she didn't have to. Her voice cracked when she said, "It's what your dad would have done for you." I didn't even know what to say at first. I felt like my lungs had stopped working, because I realized something I had never said out loud. My dad didn't do that for me. When it was my future on the line, he let me to figure it out alone. He picked someone else and told me to be strong. So I told her the truth. I said no. I told her I'm still paying off student loans, and I can't afford to take on thousands more. I just don't have it in me. I said I hope he pulls through. I don't want him to die, but I can't carry this on my back too. She hung up in tears. And since then, I've been getting calls and texts from family. Some are angry. Others are trying to guilt me, saying I'm letting him die over money, that I'm being cold, that I'm making him pay for a mistake he already regrets. But I don't think he regrets it. He never apologized. He never tried to make it right. He just assumed I'd be okay, because he thought I was the kind of person who would just always figure it out. So now I'm left wondering, am I the a-hole?